Hi, Taurus. Welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for March of 2020. It's nice to talk to you, Taurus, about events in the sky. And this month, Julia is going to be telling you all about what Venus is up to, and Mars is up to, and Saturn too. And I'm going to talk about the new and full moons and Mercury. Hey, Julia, what do you think that Venus has to offer to Taurus this month? I think it's going to be pretty nice, right?
Oh, you're totally on about that, Jamie. So, Taurus, hi there. Venus is going to be entering your first house of self on March 4th, and that is just such a great thing for you because Venus rules your ascendant. Now, as Venus enters the house of self, that means that you're going to be really embodying Venusian or Venus-like energy this month. So it's a really great time for getting along well with others because you're going to be sort of extra cooperative, extra social. It's also a really nice transit for dating. And if you want to do something to beautify yourself, like get a haircut or try on a new outfit, really great time for that as well. The other planet that's going to be active for you this month is Mars. And Mars spends the first part of the month in your ninth house, and that's the house that represents adventure as well as things that pertain to our higher mind. So that generally means that because Mars is where we feel driven to do things, you might be in a really adventurous mood, wanting to chase the vast horizons rather than focusing on whatever your present situation is. So if you can take a trip or try something new or gain some sort of new mind-opening experience, that's a really great use of this transit. Though sometimes this transit can bring on a lot of restless energy, especially if you can't find a good outlet for it. Then Mars enters your 10th house of career on March 30th. So that means you're going to be extra driven to achieve more at work. And you can get so much stuff done under this transit. But just watch out because the 10th house can also represent authority figures like a parent, if they're still an authority figure to you, a boss, a government official as well, and Mars can tend to bring on some conflicts as well. So just be wary of not engaging into any type of fight with an authority figure. Now, what's also exciting this month is we have the spring equinox, and it takes place on March 19th, and that's a time of new beginnings because the sun is moving from the very last degree of Pisces into the very first degree of Aries, which initiates a new cycle. So that new cycle is actually going to be taking place in your 12th house of spirituality and service. So you could be beginning a new cycle of altruistic action in your life, or perhaps something new related to your spiritual path, if you identify with being spiritual at all. And the last planet I want to talk about is Saturn. And Saturn is going to be entering your 10th house of career. Now, this transit doesn't happen very often, and Saturn will go a little bit in and out of the houses this year, but generally he stays in a house for a couple of years at a time, and he will eventually. But as Saturn enters the 10th house, Saturn tends to bring some limitation and some restriction and some blockages to whatever part of the chart he's transiting. And while that does sound like a buzzkill, and it can be at times, we all have Saturn somewhere. Saturn, not a year goes by that there isn't a Saturn transit usually to something. So it's just dealing with life. So in the 10th house of career, you might have to deal with some frustrations at work, though Saturn also has its side where it can really manifest things positively as well. And it really does find its stride in the 10th house too, because it correlates with the sign of Capricorn for modern astrologers. So although this might be a challenging new cycle that you're beginning at work, it can also be wonderfully productive as well. But you got to put the work into it. And what do you see going on this month, Jamie?
I loved what you said about Venus, and it occurs to me that the Tauruses of the world are going to be more personable and charming, and I would think persuasive this
Wow.
month because of Venus occupying their sign. And, it's kind of good to know. It's good to have in your hip pocket. Maybe you should go for a job interview. Definitely
Yeah.
go on some dates. Definitely. So, I wanted to also say that we have a video about Saturn entering Aquarius, and it's going to be going back and forth between Capricorn and Aquarius this year. And that video can be found in the February or the March, I guess, news playlist. And also it'll be in the 2020 news playlist because this will be happening pretty much all year. So I want to talk, though, about Mercury entering Aquarius. At the beginning of the month, Mercury is still in Pisces and retrograde. I'm sorry, but it's true. What a bummer, but going to change quickly. So right there it is in Pisces. And as the days roll on, it backs into Aquarius. Now, Mercury loves to be in Aquarius. So it's kind of a benefit, and I think in a way helpful, that if Mercury has to be retrograde, well, at least it can be in Aquarius for part of that time. Mercury retrograde will come to an end on March 9th, and that is going to coincide with the full moon. And here's the full moon, sun in Pisces, moon in Virgo, and we have a video about that also on our March news playlist. And I think that we named this one Coming Out of the Fog because Mercury retrograde in Pisces feels so like being lost in a fog of confusion and mystery, where you just don't even know, when it's going to end. And then just when Mercury retrograde finishes and we have a chance at some clarity, this full moon in Virgo brings a mood of like, oh, I just want to clean it all up. I just want to find those straight edges again. I just want to get some distinctions and stop with all the blurring. So I think that's going to feel pretty nice to many of us. For you in particular, that full moon is happening in the 11th and 5th houses, and Mercury is happening in the 10th. So chances are very good that as we move on and Mercury continues direct, that some communications that needed to be cleared up at work have a chance to happen. That's because Mercury is turning direct in your 10th house. But also some creative projects that maybe had suffered from this blurring factor, I think maybe we'll really enjoy that full moon in Virgo landing there. So then the other lunation that I wanted to mention is the new moon in Aries coming at the end of the month. And the date for that is the 24th. And that is happening at 4 degrees of Aries, which is in your 12th house. And I called this one Springtime is for Healing because it happens very soon after the equinox, and that has that feeling of rebirth and newness and refreshment. And Julia talked about that falling in your 12th house of spiritual development, of faith. And so you may experience a renewal of that. And also because this is a house of fantasy life and dreams, there may be a rebirth in your capacity to vision and in what your vision for your life actually is. The vision that is like a beacon of meaning for you in life. So this new moon may bring you some rebirth in that area. And because Chiron is here, Chiron in Aries is bringing up old wounding, and it's going to go on doing this for a total of about 7 years, and it's only in about year 2. And it's doing that in Aries, and this is all about honesty, directness, assertion. So while Chiron is in Aries, we're needing to assert ourselves and to do it in a balance, not too much and not too little. And for you, that is going to fall in your 12th house. So it's going to have to do with asserting your faith, but again, not too much, not too little, not in a way that bludgeons people, but in a way that affirms the depth and the depth of what you believe and the way that it's like a beacon for you of light. So, yeah, I think that has the potential to be deeply healing as well as renewing. So, Taurus, if you wanted to get a reading, I would think actually that you might think about getting a career reading, a mission orders reading, because Saturn moving into your 10th house and Mercury passing through your 10th house. And at the end of the month, Mars moving in there is really going to give you a jolt of ambition. And you might want to be thinking ahead to your new year, um, and what you're going to be doing in your career, because your birthday is, right around the corner. So either a career reading or a birthday reading would be suitable. And you can get either of those from Julia or me. We'd love to see you for that. And you can always find our horoscopes on our horoscope page at pandoraastrology.com/horoscope. You can find them on our YouTube channel, Pandora Astrology, and the news of the month and the news of the year. And we'll see you around the cosmos. Bye.